Hi, everybody. This is Noah from Journaling Pages, the new podcast. I run the YouTube page and my Instagram and business all about journaling. I have Hannah here with me today, and I will let her introduce herself. If you want to go ahead and have a chat.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm the owner of a Girl and Her Cat studio, where I make a lot of pen pal kits, stationery boxes, and some just regular stickers and washi tape. I'm known for my journaling boxes, though. You gotta
Yeah,
check me out for those because those take time and love and energy, and they're amazing. You get so much good value out of it. They're a lot of fun, especially if you love journaling and junk journaling. They're really ideal for both of those things and pen paling because
brilliant.
pen
Yeah,
paling.
and I'll link
Big.
everything of Hannah's below as well, so you can check out everything. And you have a Patreon release recently, didn't you say?
Yes, I have no patrons, so join.
But it's a slow one. I've only just recently did mine, and it's a slow build, I think, with Patreon, especially
Yeah,
since you need to do so much of your own marketing. Not many people
yeah.
go onto Patreon to search, so
See, I'm really bad at marketing myself. I can
I go
market
through
others, but
phases.
I can't market myself.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, come join me on Patreon. I will release, well, we're not even at July yet. So June themes is pen paling.
awesome.
There's two pen pal printables for the first tier, which is just $1. You get a pen pal word definition sticker sheet. So like you can print it out on a sticker sheet and just cut out all the little phrases and put them on your envelopes or
Great,
send them to friends. And then there's a collage as well.
brilliant. That's loads.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the first question that I wanted to ask was, what got you started with journaling, or was it a person, or when did that all kind of start for you?
Um, I think like for me, I started bullet journaling in the loosest terms possible in 2016, in the fall of 2016.
Hmm.
And then I probably started doing more. I always did it creatively, like
Yeah.
markers, stickers, and stuff,
Hmm.
but I don't think I was cohesive
Hmm.
until 2018, maybe. And
Hmm.
then over the years, as like once the pandemic hit, I got into pen paling.
Yeah.
And so I got into more doing collages on envelopes and, collages on paper and, kind of using more of my scraps than
Hmm.
I had previously. And now almost everything I use includes teared paper,
Yeah.
like torn paper. Like I
I feel
have
like
to
it's
rip
such
the
a
paper.
progression because I
Yeah,
started with bullet journaling too. Like I had a diary when I was little, but I when I did the bullet journaling, it was very kind of plain, but maybe I added a little bit of colored marker, and then I started
right.
adding a sticker here or there or a doodle, and it's just progressed. And mine's are mostly collages now, so I feel like it's almost a natural
Right.
progression
Yeah. Like
sometimes.
I think like I finally found my specific bullet journal style these
Hmm.
past 2 years.
Yeah.
And like, and again, I've been bullet journaling since 2016, October actually.
Hmm.
I first started planning in the happy planner.
Hmm.
And then
I have an
I
Air in common.
realized I realized that was just not for me.
Yeah, I
Like
was the
I
same. Too
needed
structured, I think.
it was too structured. I needed something where I could write all my thoughts down, like
Hmm.
all of them. Like if I had page ideas of reading and, music I was listening to or records I wanted to buy or a wish list or all these things, there's
Hmm.
nowhere to put it in a planner.
Yeah.
Just have all these ideas. And so like, where do you put it? You put it in a bullet journal.
Hmm.
And so then, like, I had a journal as a kid and a teenager and a little bit as an adult.
Hmm.
And my therapist has recommended that, like, I start
Yeah.
journaling again.
It's so
But,
good.
like, I think for me, why I haven't actually, like, sat down and, like, journaled creatively or not, like, in a consistent or concise way is I struggle with my mental illness,
Mm-hmm.
and I struggle with the fear of my thoughts.
Yeah.
And so, like, it seems so permanent to put it on
Yeah.
a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I know, like, people have said, "Well, then you can burn it, and you can tear it up in pieces and put it in the garbage and do all of these things," and I'm like, "I don't know if I necessarily wanna do that." I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, I would wanna keep it at least for a little while,
Yeah.
but, like, it's still I guess it's intimidating for me to
Mm-hmm.
really do that, so, like, I'm more creatively journaling and
Yeah.
more, you know,
I mean, there's so
using
many
marker
different ways that you
stickers
can do
and
it.
washi tape and torn
Mm-hmm.
paper and all of that to, like, do, like, journal spreads, like, mini journal spreads and, like,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, and, I think that has helped more
Yeah.
than anything, like, just writing, like at one point, I split my day up by having all my tasks and then splitting the page and having journal entry underneath.
Yeah, it's such a
That
good balance, I
helps.
think, because you can get
Yeah,
what you need out done for the day, but you also get to have a space for your just all the other things that go on in
right,
your day to
yeah.
day, because you're not just thinking about the things that you have to do. There's a
But
running thought process.
then I found myself struggling with that, like, struggling to
Mm-hmm.
keep up with that I'd have a lot of blank days, so then I stopped
Mm-hmm.
doing that, but I think I wanna go back to it because so much is happening in my head in my life that I feel like just getting it down on paper is so important,
Yeah.
and I think a full page is intimidating for me because I know
Mm-hmm.
if I start writing, I'll write, like, 5 pages, so I'm like, "I don't have time for that," but I have time for, like, 2 paragraphs.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the beauty, I think, of bullet journaling and journaling in general, is you can tailor it to what it is you need. Because I
Right,
used to do the journal spreads and find myself with empty pages and empty weeks, and then I'd feel really
yeah,
guilty. And then I realized actually I can just do it whenever it suits. I don't have to do it every day or every week.
right.
That's the beauty of it being a blank journal. You can set it up however you want.
Yeah, and I think that's what I appreciate. I think as times have gotten busy for me and as I've been struggling with my mental health enormously, um, page days have gone missing.
Mm-hmm.
And days have gone missing being recorded and, having task lists or whatever. And at first I wasn't okay with it,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't backlog or anything because it passed. It's
Yeah.
gone.
Mm-hmm.
Can't bring it back.
Yeah.
Like, I can't pretend that I had a to-do list that day. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just didn't. I
Yeah.
was just struggling to make it through the day. So, I think, like, I'm not one for backlogging,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm one for recognizing the days that were missed.
Yeah. And I
Like,
think that's
I
important too.
I think I can go back on my week and be like, "Oh, I only journaled for last week. I only journaled Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I was busy most of the week. I
Mm-hmm.
was out of my apartment most of that week. Like, I wasn't like I was at work or whatever. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have anything to plan because I was busy doing something else
Yeah.
that, like, took up all my time that I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have time to do any personal things. And
Mm-hmm.
if I did them at night, it didn't really matter. I was tired. I wasn't gonna go plan
Yeah.
anymore. The
Mm-hmm.
time had passed. So, like, it's like a preview of my week. Oh, I remember that week that I was really busy. I was
Mm-hmm.
showing up here and there and doing this and that, and, like, I didn't have time to, really plan.
Yeah. And
And go ahead.
I think it's important to see that too, where you're able to look back and know and feel like it's okay that you have those weeks where you're busy and you don't have the time to journal,
Yeah.
and you just pick it back up whenever you're able and you're not quite so busy.
Right. And I think, like, this week I'm making more of a habit, more of a conscious effort
Mm-hmm.
to journal Monday through Friday. I'm going on vacation starting on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'm not going to be journaling Saturday through next Saturday because
Mm-hmm.
I will be with family all week and friends, and I'll be out doing things that I will not be at home able to tackle a to do list.
Mm-hmm.
So I may journal my days of this is what I've done,
Yeah, more of a memory than
but
anything.
it's going to be more of memory keeping than anything else.
Yeah.
And, I'll be seeing my whole maternal family, which will
Hmm.
be great. I haven't seen them in a while, and I just saw all of my paternal family like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So now it's
Hmm.
time to see my maternal. So I see my maternal more than I see my paternal. And so I'm really excited to see him again.
Hmm.
Shout out to my cousins who are graduating.
Oh, wow,
Really
amazing.
excited for them.
That's amazing.
Um, one of them is graduating from grade school, and one of them is graduating from middle school, going into high school. And I
Wow,
can't believe
big
I'm gonna
changes.
have a cousin that is in high school. Like that makes me
Hmm.
feel so old. So it's insane. It's just crazy, but I'm really happy for both of them, and I wanted to try. I live 5.5 hours away from them.
Yeah, so it'll be
Really
a bit of a
six,
trip.
really 6.5.
Hmm.
And when you consider all the breaks and everything, driving.
Yeah.
And so I was gonna visit for a weekend, but my mom happens to be in town who lives in Florida, who doesn't live near me, and
Hmm.
she invited me for the whole week.
Wow, amazing. It's going to
So
be a
I'm
great time, I'm
really,
sure. Very
yeah, and
excited.
then I'm seeing one of my closest friends. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, you're not going to have time or want to journal when you're spending all your time having fun with everybody.
No, and like I just have to say, it's gonna be really random for your podcast, but I'm just gonna say it. I am a huge fan of the actor John Gallagher Jr. You can look him up. He's
Hmm.
been in the newsroom on HBO.
Okay.
He's been in movies, lots of movies. My favorite of his is Short Term 12, where it
Hmm.
shows the realistic foster system. It's heartbreaking,
Yeah.
emotional.
Kind of a docu-series type thing, is it?
It kind of it's a movie. It's fictional, but
Okay.
it's based in the foster care system where they age out at 18.
Hmm.
And so it's John Gallagher Jr., Brie Larson, Rami Malek, uh,
Hmm.
Lakeith Stanford, like all these people. And it was Lakeith Stanford, which he's been in so many things recently. Um, he was in the really weird movie Sorry to Bother You. And it's just such a wild movie. If
I've
you
never heard of it.
if you like wild movies, you should
Hmm.
watch it. It screws with you. And I think Bradley Cooper or Army Hammer is in it
Hmm.
as like the villain,
Hmm.
and they're really villainous.
Hmm.
So it's about a black guy who sounds white when he's selling telemarketing services. And so he moves up in the ladder, but then it gets really creepy.
Hmm.
It's really interesting.
Have you ever journaled about movies or anything like TV shows? I know
Yeah,
people do
I
media
do.
journals.
I do. I keep track of all the movies that I've watched for the year, or at
Yeah.
least I try to. I watch a lot of movies. I'm
Hmm.
unemployed, so like I've been struggling to find a job for 2 years, and I just haven't found one.
Hmm.
And um, I'm gonna try to go on disability actually, as some of my health problems have become too prevalent.
Hmm.
And so I tend to watch movies and TV shows a
Hmm.
lot. Like I tend to binge. Um, I recently binged the American, since I'm American, you can obviously tell from my accent. Um, I watched the American show The Rookie with Nathan Fillion,
Hmm.
who's from Firefly,
Yeah, I've
and
seen Firefly.
yeah. So
Hmm.
you know who he is. He's a
Yeah.
great actor.
Hmm.
And I binge watched 6 seasons in 2 weeks.
I mean, if you've got the time, why not?
If you got the time. I didn't really have the time. I was
I mean,
ignoring everything and
back
anything.
in back in the lockdown, I was pregnant and I couldn't go out, so because I was had to isolate. So I spent a lot of time watching TV and movies. Sometimes it's the
I
only way that keeps you sane when you're stuck
can't
kind of,
imagine being pregnant during the lockdown.
yeah.
That must have been
It
so
was
scary.
I had no other reference point though because I only have one child, so that was kind of a
Right.
blessing, but yeah, it was tough. But it's fine.
Was
Got through it.
because like I know in the US, if you were pregnant during the lockdown, your husband, your partner was not
Hmm.
allowed in the room when you gave birth.
Well, we by the time we had ours, he was, but we had to wait until a certain period of time. So he was still allowed there, but just not for like there was about 6 hours where I was on my own. So yeah, it was
Right. Yeah. In the
mm,
US,
just
you were
not at
not
all.
allowed. Your partner was not allowed. They weren't even
Yeah.
allowed in the waiting room. Like they had to be at home and you have to receive a call that like
Mm,
the pregnancy went well or
that's
whatever. And
can't
it's
even
so
fathom it.
like even all your doctor's appointments you had to go to alone.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
couldn't
all of mine
your
were on my own.
yeah, your partner just couldn't be part of the pregnancy really. And I
Hmm.
just like I can't imagine. I don't have kids and I'm probably not gonna have kids. It's just not in the cards for me.
Hmm.
But like I'm so happy I wasn't pregnant during the lockdown.
Yeah. It was
Like
definitely
it
a
just
tough.
seemed so scary and so
Hmm.
isolating.
Yeah.
I mean, we were isolated enough, but to be carrying a being
Hmm.
inside of you, not being able to share that with your husband, your partner, like
Yeah.
I can't fathom.
Yeah. And I will
But
the
your child
journaling
is
came
adorable.
in strong then whenever I was able to write down all
Yeah,
the feelings about that, you know.
yeah,
And that's like I find for me at least the journaling side of things, even if it's just the kind of collagey creative side of things, I find it's probably one of the biggest things that helps me with my kind of mental health struggles. And if I'm having a
yeah.
really rough time, I find that if I just open up the book, I don't even have to write. Sometimes I do, and I'll write for ages, but sometimes if I'm all I'm doing is decorating it, it helps me get out of my head, you know.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about that. And I know this isn't a pen pal channel, but I'm going to promote pen paling
I mean, I love
because
pen paling. I do pen paling too.
yeah, because that's what I do. I have multiple pen pals from all over the world, and I think decorating their letters and
Yeah.
making goodies for them has really helped me.
Hmm.
And when I stopped doing it, I noticed a change in
Yeah.
behavior and thoughts
Hmm.
that I can tell, like, oh, I haven't done something really good for myself in a
Hmm.
long time. Like, this is why I'm struggling. This is why my thoughts are like so heavy, is because I'm not releasing them
Yeah.
in some way
Hmm.
to feel better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's kind of why I started my business in the first place. The whole idea of using self-expression as a way for mindfulness is just, I feel like
Right.
it's underutilized a lot and maybe not kind of known as well because a lot of people would do like meditation or yoga and all of those things are obviously beneficial in their own right, but for me the creativity side of things is the one that helps me the most, and I just want to like tell everybody so that they can give it a
Yeah,
go and see if it helps
I
them.
I totally agree with that. Like, and I've always been a proponent of the creative side of things and just really expressing yourself. Like, I
Yeah.
love yoga, don't get me wrong. I love it. I don't do it on a daily basis, but I
Hmm.
journal on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I find is helpful. I find setting up my bullet journal every day, choosing what stickers and
Mm.
washi tape and markers that I'm going to use really like is a whole mindfulness experience in itself, like
Yeah,
going through all your supplies and like
it's
this
almost meditative, like as if
yeah,
you're doing
it
yoga. It gets you into that kind of flow
it
state,
is. It
you know.
really is, and it's a great experience,
Mm.
and it sets my day up.
Mm.
I do it a little bit after I get up in the morning, or today I got up at 11:30, but we don't need to talk about that. Um, so it helps. Sometimes I take 20 minutes doing it. Other times I take an hour and a half because I'm watching something
Yeah,
as I'm doing
I'm the
it, and
same.
I get distracted and I like
Mhm.
forget, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I was doing this." So, it's you can do multiple things at once, but the journaling is always something that really makes me smile. Like I love
Mhm.
seeing a spread that I made that just looks so good.
So
You're like,
satisfying.
that's perfect. Like
Mm.
that one singular sticker where it's placed right there, and that
Hmm.
marker color matching the sticker color.
Yeah.
It's like that is like the perfect like just moment, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, I
And
did it today.
I can see why why that feeling might even be like amplified if you're doing it as a pen pal thing, because then you get to
Right.
know that the person receiving it will get the joy of seeing all of that work you put into.
Yeah, and I did my first like full on like pen pal theme. I did an Alice in Wonderland theme for my friend in England,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like a huge Alice in Wonderland fan. I want a half sleeve on my leg, huge
Wow.
Alice in Wonderland fan. So, um, I have it all planned out too. Like it's four art styles.
Mm-hmm.
It's the original, the Disney, the modern, and then there's an author called Christina Henry
Mm-hmm.
who does retellings and did three retellings of Alice in Wonderland, did a duology
Mm-hmm.
called The Red Queen, and then did a three novel four novella collection called The Looking Glass.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read them all, and it's horrifying. It's a horror story.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I can see how it could go that route with the
yeah,
story that it
so
is.
like I love how like to tie it all in together to have like this really grungy looking Hatcher who
Mm-hmm.
like the Mad Hatter is called Hatcher in her books,
Mm-hmm.
and he has an axe with him at all times, and like just is just so great. And um you know, out they both met in the mental hospital and
Mm-hmm.
they escaped, and then, well, I won't spoil it, but they
I'm gonna
escaped,
have
and
to write this
so
on my reading list.
yeah, it's so good. Like it was the first thing of hers that I've read, and I've read all of her retellings.
Mm-hmm.
I can't I can't read her standalones. They're too scary.
Okay.
They're just not as or really as interesting as her
Mm-hmm.
retellings. But like read Lost Boy.
Mm-hmm.
That is a retelling of Peter Pan like no other, and
I think I've heard of that one actually.
you will hate Peter Pan. He's such a villain. You will hate him for the rest of your life. You will no longer think
Well, I
of
guess anybody
your
that loves Peter
childhood.
Pan maybe shouldn't read it. But
Yeah.
I'm a kind of I'm not on the fence. I'm not really bothered still.
Yeah, I was never a huge Peter Pan fan.
Hmm.
I always like the saying, what is it? The pixie dust saying,
Oh, I can't
trust,
remember.
magic, and pixie whatever.
Yeah.
I always liked saying that when I remembered it. But oh, faith, trust, pixie dust.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
it is.
Hmm.
And like I always like saying that and just like, the whole thing. But when I read Lost Boy, everything changed. My whole relationship with Peter Pan and J.M.
Isn't
Barrie
it so
changed.
interesting how a book can do that?
Yeah. And like I was just, yeah, it was, you just got to read it. So for all of you out there, write down Christina Henry. Her retellings are amazing. They're
Hmm.
so good.
That would be a
And,
really good one to journal. I started a reading journal. Um,
mm,
and
oh yeah, I've seen your
sometimes
videos.
yeah, sometimes I like theming it. Sometimes I don't theme it to the books at all, but sometimes I do. And I can just imagine how cool of a spread you could do for something like that kind of a book.
Oh yeah.
That
Oh
would be
yeah.
really cool.
No,
Yeah.
totally. For
Um,
like the Alice in Wonderland ones, and
yeah.
like she's
Mhm.
literally in just the grungiest dress, just walking around town.
I can
Like,
see how that could work, like
yeah.
the aesthetic of
So
that.
it's just so cool. And like
Mhm.
the villains are all, and this isn't giving anything away because you'll meet them in the
Mhm.
first book, but they're all characters from the actual book,
Yeah.
and that were never a villain
Oh, okay. So
and
you kind of
turned
flip the
into
script a little.
villains. Yeah.
Mm.
So like the rabbit is a hustler. He's like like a crime lord,
Hmm.
and so is the caterpillar, and like it's insane. Like you just read this and you're like, what? What am I reading? Like
I mean,
I
yeah,
don't
if you grew up
I
watching these kind of like movies and stuff and then you read those versions, it would be such a like a you'd be shell shocked a
yeah.
little bit.
I mean, we all remember Disney's
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland,
Hmm.
which has the scariest scene in any movie to date, which is when the walrus eats all of the oysters.
Hmm.
Do you remember that scene?
Vaguely, vaguely.
So my husband and I rewatched that movie like, I don't know, a few years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And that scene is
I feel
horrifying.
like that's happened with a few movies that I've watched where I haven't watched it since childhood and then I put it on and I'm like, wow, that was really rough.
Yeah. I mean, he eats these young oysters like that are talking to him. He
Hmm.
just gobbles them up as if they're nothing. And like
Yeah.
you read it in the book. I ended up rereading the book and like it's just such a little part of the book.
Yeah, but in
But
a
like
movie form, I'm sure
but
it's
in
totally
movie
different.
form, just seeing it like in action is
Hmm.
insane. It's frightening. It's just like you're like they Disney did not just do that, did they? Did Disney just do
Well,
that?
I
They
suppose it's
did.
not surprising. Some of the movies, like watching them
Yeah,
back now, they've kind of they're
they're
not how
not for
kids' movies
kids.
are made now.
Yeah,
Um,
you watch like the early animated movies, and some of them are
mhm,
just not for kids, including
mhm,
Alice in Wonderland. That is a drug trip. That is not a
mm.
movie for kids.
I mean, I've even seen people do like themed monthly spreads and stuff in their journals for different movies and shows, and I've never
Yes,
necessarily done that. I kind of
I
go with
can't.
my stick, like I go through my stickers, I look at what I have, and
Yeah,
maybe go with like a color or whatever.
I kind of just go through like my I don't do themes. Like
Hmm.
I don't have a lot of supplies. My husband thinks I do, but I feel like I don't have a lot of
Yeah.
like specific things.
Yeah, I can't really. I think the main reason I've been doing themes more now is because I make them myself for my shop and for my patrons.
Right.
But
Right.
before they weren't as themed because I wasn't
Right.
making them myself. So it was just whatever I had. I was using magazines and like random bits of like paper and
Right.
things.
Yeah. So like I have a collection of stuff,
Hmm.
but like it's not specific to anything.
Yeah.
It's just whatever I like.
And I kind of like
and
that too,
and
though.
not even a lot of it to make
Hmm.
a full spread. I literally have one Alice in Wonderland washi tape. That's it.
I mean, I have
Like,
none. You're one ahead of me.
yeah, that's true. But like, I'm a huge fan. I
Yeah.
just don't collect
Hmm.
like stuff like that because I know I'm never going to use it
Hmm.
because I don't like theming. I like just doing whatever I feel like.
I do because
And
I sometimes I'll sit down and because I'm so used to doing the theme stuff now because of the way that I kind of work everything else in the business.
yeah,
But sometimes I can't help but just sit down and like lay out all the bits I have, like some sticker sheets and some papers and some ephemera stuff, and just go with the flow. And I feel like those are the times when I journal for the longest because I'm just
right.
kind of feeling it out and placing things and kind of having a
Yeah,
go.
I
And
think I think there's something to theming. I think it could be really meditative that
hmm.
you're sticking to one thing that you kind of know where you're going. And
Hmm.
I'll do like for June, I did a floral theme that I
Hmm.
had a bunch of these stickers that my friend had sent me. And I'm like, I have no idea how to use them. They're for Habanichi, but like I'll figure it out. And I used
Hmm.
it as my monthly.
Yeah.
The little washi tape strips were
Hmm.
now on the bottom of my pages. The little half ones were now borders and like this
Hmm.
and that. Like I used the kit as if it was made for a journal,
Yeah.
but I don't tend to do that. So it was a different change. But then
Hmm.
when I change journals in the middle of the month, I'm like, I don't know if I have enough to
Yeah.
carry it over.
Hmm.
So,
I
but
think like themes can be good, I guess, if you're maybe short on time, but you still want your spreads to look like really pretty. Maybe you don't have a lot of
right,
supplies or you don't have a lot of time to sit and actually like do the journaling part. Because I
right.
found there's times when I have loads of time to do it, but obviously with a
And
kid and
then
running a business and all that
yeah,
kind of stuff, time
yeah.
can be short. So those are the times where I feel grateful for the fact that I have themed kits myself made, so that
Mhm.
I can still make my journal look nice and still have that minute of time to actually sit and set it up. But it doesn't have to take me hours, you know. So there's like a
Yeah,
good balance between the both. But it's personal preference too. Some people don't, some people do.
right.
It's just whatever your journal's for you, really.
What I do is with my way of theming
Hmm.
is I'll pick 4 different markers,
Yeah.
and that will be on all my monthly spreads.
I guess it's like a color
It
scheme.
won't be in my dailies
Yeah.
that markers any color, but for like the actual monthly spreads that I do, there are 4 marker colors, and then stickers that are in like a matching style, and then washi tape that like coordinates.
Yeah.
Like that's how I theme, but
Hmm.
it's never pre-decided.
Yeah, you just kind of go
I'm
with it when
sitting
you're about to
down.
do it.
Yeah, I'm sitting down. I'm like, all right, what 4 marker colors do I want for this month?
Hmm.
And like then pick those out. And then it's like,
Yeah.
all right, well, what sticker sheets do I think coordinate? Or what washi do I think coordinate? Like what,
Hmm.
that kind of happens. And
Hmm.
but it's never the weeks I coordinate as well. Like I choose like 4 marker colors for every week and then rotate through that.
Hmm.
But it's
Yeah, you
never
don't
like
plan
a
ahead of time
fully
what it's going to be.
yeah, it's never fully ahead of time, and it's
Mm.
never organized.
Yeah. I
Like
think
it's
for
just
me,
not
like the monthly
organized.
ones, sometimes I'll just use whatever the most recent kit I've made is.
Right.
But for my weeklies, I tend to start with washi tape first. So I go through my drawer and kind of feel out which one I want to use. And then based on that, I kind of see what stickers I have that could work with it. So I kind of understand that system of things where you just pick one thing first and then everything kind of falls into place afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how I usually journal, and it
Mm.
always starts with the markers. It never starts with the stickers or the washi tape. It always starts with the markers because I'm a really big marker person. I have a huge marker collection.
Mm. Mine's is
That's
growing
just
for sure. I have
yeah.
more than I started with. But the last brand of markers I got, I think they were called Colorista. Whatever type they are that I got, unfortunately they bleed through the page, but I can still use them if I put them on a page and then
What
cut it out
journal
and
do
stick
you
it back
use?
in. What journal? I use a Yop and Tom.
Oh, okay. So
So I don't think it's the journal because I tried it on different paper and I think it's whatever the markers are,
it might be
whatever they're
alcohol
made with.
based.
Yeah, I think so because they smell quite strong too. So
Yeah.
the way that I've kind of gotten around it because I love the colors is maybe I'll write like a header or a title on a separate page and then cut
Page
around
and
it and
then
stick it
just
in
yeah.
so that it doesn't bleed through the paper. But yeah, I love the kind of brush marker style ones that you can kind of do
Mhm.
loads with. Like you can write a title with it or you can highlight stuff
I
with it, you know.
The only 2 marker types I only really use 2 brands,
Hmm.
and that's Mileliners and Crayola Super Tips.
I have
I
my
love
liners.
I
Yeah,
love my Crayola Super Tips, but I love my Mileliners more. Oh, and I also use Right Tech. I use a
I've
lot of
never
Right
heard of
Tech.
that one. Not
So they're
sure if we
on
get that here.
Amazon,
Oh, okay.
and they're um their dual brush pens
Oh,
are the
yes.
ones
Okay.
that I use.
Mm-hmm.
They are incredible
Mm-hmm.
because the writing tip is a different color.
Oh, okay.
So it still matches the
Oh, so
color.
you can like do with the
So you
brush
can
and then write over the top of it.
yeah, and it's a
Oh, wow,
different
that's really
color.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Right Tech Co. on
Okay.
Amazon, and I use those every day. I
Yeah.
forget about those. I use those every day,
Cool. I
and
must check them out.
I have their like actual like writing pens that I use
Mm-hmm.
to write. I have their first thing I ever got was their highlighters.
Mm-hmm.
In the vintage set. Like I only buy their vintage stuff.
Yeah.
Like I love their vintage colorways. I don't really like any of the others,
Mm-hmm.
but the vintage is the way to go for me because that's more my aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they're just so good. They
Yeah.
really are.
I
And
mean, I feel like there's so many
they're
different types
cheap.
of yeah, there's so
They're
many different
cheap.
types of stationery out there. Like it's really
Yeah.
good that there's so many varieties of
Yeah.
kind and color and price range for everybody to kind of be able to access.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah, I
I'm a
mean,
I'm a notebook snob. So like
what
I've
do you
become a
use?
notebook. I use the Scribbles That Matters, but a
I have
160.
heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
use a
think
160
I can't remember what GSM mine is. I think mine's is one something as
GSM.
well, one like 60,
Yeah.
150 maybe.
Yeah, I use
Um,
160 GSM.
mhm,
And like it's I just started using it for the first time and it's wonderful. It's much cheaper than an Archer and Olive, but
mhm.
it's the same paper texture.
Yeah.
So like I was doing an Archer and Olive and I couldn't afford it anymore, so I switched to Bear and Fig, which was like $10 cheaper,
Hmm.
but it's a 120
Yeah, the
and
paper's just not as thick as
all my markers bled.
yeah.
And so like I am in the middle of that notebook and was like, I can't continue this anymore.
It's
I
just
got
so
so
hard. Yeah.
I got so spoiled by the 160
Hmm.
and I really didn't want to buy an Archer and Olive again because they're just
Hmm.
so expensive. And
They're really pretty, but yeah, if it's not in your price range, it's good
they're
that
really
there's
pretty, but
other
like I
options.
like I like putting stickers on my journals and
Hmm.
I felt like I couldn't put stickers on that because it was too
Oh
pretty.
yeah, like too precious about it.
Too precious.
Yeah.
So like I'm like I can't. But like my Bear and Fig and everything, oh please. Stickers everywhere.
Just
Like
all out.
yeah, this is the notebook that I use. So
So you were
I
saying
use the
scribbles that matter. I think I
yeah.
saw Savannah.
So I use their Pro and this is their aubergine or whatever, their
Oh yeah,
eggplant.
the color. Hmm.
And then it comes with a pocket, comes with a pen called the Scribbler.
Oh, cool.
It's a black fine liner.
Hmm.
So it's not like the greatest pen, but it's not the worst either.
Hmm.
And I like that it like comes with it and it has a pen loop.
Yeah, because
So
even if that one is not one that you prefer, you can always switch it out for your own, you know?
right, exactly. So I'm like bouncing between my own and that one. Like
Yeah.
it depends like again like what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I kind of go the same. I used to just use a zebra like ballpoint pen, and
Yeah.
then I switched to using my Lamy fountain pen. My husband bought it to me as a gift last year.
Oh, nice.
And I just wasn't so used to the
The
writing with the fountain pen
J.
anymore.
Yeah.
But I've practiced more and more now, and I quite like using it in my journal. But I want to change the ink because it's a black ink. But I think I would prefer brown. I think it would suit my journal spreads more.
I use color ink.
Yeah.
I use the Right Tech Co. vintage pens.
Hmm.
And so one of the colors that I use is like a maroon.
Oh, nice.
So, and I'm not like a red pen color girl, like a regular red pen, but give
Hmm.
me maroon.
Maroon,
Um,
yeah. I think if I was to choose, I would choose maroon over like a true red, you know.
yeah. And so the maroon is really nice and it came with two different maroon colors.
Oh, very cool.
Like one that's dark and one that's darker.
Hmm.
And so like I really like that and I fluctuate between those pens. And
Hmm.
then now that I have the Scribbles That Matter fine liner, I fluctuate between all three of them. But
Yeah.
like for a while I was using like a pink pen.
Hmm.
I was using like a light blue pen, like a sky blue pen and a
Hmm.
green pen, like a mossy green pen and all of that. Like I find color so satisfying in my journal.
Hmm.
Like I don't know, like I don't find it as satisfying using like the black pen, but I'm
Yeah.
kind of liking it. It's okay. But I used to be strictly black pen. I used to use Muji pens
Yes, I used to use
as
those
like
too. Hmm.
that was like my only pen for years.
Hmm.
But I've since once I was introduced to the Right Tech Co pens, I kind of
Yeah, you
switched
made
to
the switch.
them and then and never really went back.
Yeah.
So
No, I think that's, you know, with stationery and stuff, I think you get comfortable with something you're using and then somehow you end up trying something new and you don't realize how much you prefer something new until you've tried it. So I'm always
yeah,
open to trying different things if I'm able to. Just because it's so easy to kind of get into a habit of using the same thing over and over again and not realizing that you could be using something you like even more. Like even the colored stuff we were talking about there, I used to always just use black. And recently I used a little purple kind of colored pen
Hmm. And
in a
you like
purple
it.
spread that I did. And I loved how it looked with everything. It just made it all
Yeah.
even more cohesive. So I am
Yeah.
definitely going to try more colored pen in the future in my spreads.
Yeah, I just love color pens. I think it just the way it matches with everything if you use like the right matchy color
Hmm.
and just it just looks different on the page. Like it just
Yeah,
kind of shines a bit brighter, you know?
yeah, for sure. Well, to end off our conversation, I thought I would ask if there was any kind of advice that you might give to somebody who's never journaled before or wants to start. Is there any kind of tips or something that you wish you knew whenever you started, that you could give to anybody who's watching, who's maybe interested?
Just do it.
Just
Just
do it.
start.
Brilliant.
Just start. Like you
Simple.
really don't need a lot of supplies. Like you don't need
Yeah,
to, you know, buy like a whole 60 pack of markers so you can start.
for
Like
sure.
you're going to realize that your style is going to change over time
Hmm.
and that your initial style is never going to be your final style. And
Exactly. Yeah, it's so evolving, isn't it?
it's you're just gonna you just have to start. Because if you don't start, you can't grow.
Yeah.
So like you grow into your style. Like you don't just find it right away.
Hmm.
It's never like if you would have seen I threw out my first bullet journal books because they were so terrible. I'm like, I don't want to show this to anyone. They were really bad.
I just
And
recently went through mine, and the change of style is just
yeah,
incredibly different.
and like even like how I used markers and failing at hand lettering and all those things like
Mm.
but my first bullet journals were not like regular journals.
Hmm.
They were three different types of paper.
Okay, yeah.
So it was grid, lined, and blank.
Okay.
And I went through each type and realized lined is not for me
Yeah.
and blank is not for me. I prefer dotted. I use
Hmm.
dot grid. Like that is my preferred.
Same.
But I did probably three or four of those journals, went through them really fast because they weren't a lot of pages.
Hmm.
And like I refused at one point to use the line section. I'm like, I'm not doing this. And so that takes up all pages. But try different notebooks, try different pens, try different, styles. Like you don't have
Hmm.
to land on like one style. Like it's just all going to change over time and
Mm.
over how comfortable you get with, what you're doing and how, how you feel one sticker may change something and,
Yeah.
one marker may make the difference. And it's just ever changing. I
Hmm.
mean, really, it's just, you can start doing bullet point lists and then you're ending up doing like grid lists or whatever like it's just all different and
Hmm.
you'll eventually settle on a style. I think I've settled on my style. I think I've been doing this for about 2 years now, but I change
Hmm.
it up a little bit here and there, but it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much just a monthly spread and then weekly then dailies. Like I don't really
Hmm.
do weeklies. They
Yeah.
turn into weeklies because they're all
Hmm.
together,
Yeah.
but they're not it's not like a full weekly spread where there's like 8 boxes on a page and they're all filled out and stuff like
Hmm.
I found that's just not what fits me. That
Yeah.
I did that for the longest time. I did that for years, trying different weekly styles and with boxes and different shapes and just different ways of using planner stickers and all that. And I found literally just doing dailies, simple dailies, is
Hmm.
what works for me.
Yeah. I think that's great. I think that was a perfect piece of advice to end on because you'll never know until you just start, and you'll
Yeah,
never
you
find
just
the
have to
style you
start.
need
And
until
like,
you just go for it.
I'm not saying it's not scary. It is
Yeah.
scary when you're first starting. You're like, am I doing this right? Like, is
Mm.
this what, should be done? But honestly, as the bullet journal has turned 10 and everything, it's all your style. It's
Yeah.
completely made by you and tailored by you. Like
Mm-hmm.
you control what goes in there. You don't have to let anyone else dictate how your bullet journal looks. You
Mm-hmm.
can look at reference photos, but don't copy people.
Yeah.
Make it your own. Like just
Mm-hmm.
do what you like. Include what you need, what's important to you, and what you will reference. What
Mm-hmm.
someone references in their journal, you may not need to reference that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's
So,
perfect. I think that is the perfect way to end the podcast. And
well,
I
thank you
hope,
so much, Nuala.
yeah, I hope it
It was
inspires
great
other people
talking
to
to you.
start. Thank you so much for coming on and having a chat. It was really nice. And I
Yeah,
will be sure to remember to link everything below for you. I'll have a chat
I
with you.
have a
For...
YouTube channel too.
Oh, amazing. I can link that too.
It's Tea Crafts and Letters is my YouTube channel.
Fab. I will get all of the info so that I can make sure I get it all right from you afterwards. But yeah, thank you so, so much. And
Thank
I'm
you for
sure I'll
having
get
me.
chatting
It's
to you
been a
another point.
blast. Yeah. All right. Have a good
Okay.
day.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.